All right, good morning. I'm getting ready to do a vase here. I'm using some colors that I don't normally use together. A little crazy idea here I had. I was out at breakfast with my wife, some new place that she found, and I went to the restroom and there was actually a vase. And if you're like me doing pottery, you probably notice stuff everywhere you go. You notice it in the bathroom of a restaurant, you notice it in movies, you notice it everywhere. It's like, oh, look at that. Oh, I like that color. I like that shape. I can't sleep sometimes because I'm remembering all these things, especially when I'm glazing. And I have a ton of stuff I'm glazing right now. My mind keeps me awake thinking of color combinations and what should I do that one in and how do I get that to look the way I want and not ruin it. So anyway, I'm gonna do this one. I'm using snow, which is white. I'm using obsidian, which is black. I'm going to use honey flux, and I'm going to use cosmic Teadust. And I'm trying to recreate something similar to the vase that I saw and the way that it was in this restroom that I went in as decor in this brand new restaurant that we went to. So I'm going to do some of this on high speed so you don't just have to sit and watch all these, time, but the top part is going to be obsidian. This is going to be all shiny black. Yesterday I filled it with my junk, so this will be a real dark blue. And I may take my black over the top just so you really don't see the blues so much. But this will be obsidian. In this part right here that I've trimmed, you can see this vase. I just took a trim tool and I went around it trimming after I made a couple of lines. Then on this, I'm going to put honey flux. And on top of it, I'm going to put cosmic Teadust. I'll do 3 to 4 coats of obsidian here, which is a real stable celadon. I'll do 3 to 4 coats of snow on this bottom part. And then we're going to put honey flux here, which is fluid. And if you've seen some of the mugs I've done with honey flux and cosmic Teadust, it just blows my mind how that reacts. And we should get some different colors here, and it's also going to run down into this white. Hopefully it doesn't cover all of it because it really moves when you mix it with this honey flux, but it's going to be fun to see how this one comes out. I have a ton of stuff on the shelf that's done. My wife and I spent all day yesterday glazing. I have a lot of stuff here today. I have, mugs. I have, if you saw this is a nice handmade baking dish. I've made a few of these that are ready to glaze. Cannot figure out what I want to do on those. I've got some mixing bowls. I've got another funky vase like I did the video on. This one's just a little bit smaller. So get some colors in that. So anyway, it's time to get some stuff fired. But here we go. I'm going to put obsidian on this and we'll get started on it. All right, there we are. We've got our 4 coats of obsidian. Got black on here. I'm going to flip this over after I dry it, and I'm going to do the same thing down here, but I'm going to do it with snow. We're going to put white. Both of those are celadons, and the great thing about the celadons with Amaco is just how stable they are. I'll be able to run this right down to the bottom down here, and I don't have to worry about it running. This is not going to run down here. These I'm going to want to run because it's going to be a flux glaze, but we're going to do snow here. I'm going to go back to time lapse so y'all don't have to just sit and watch me glaze, at least on this video. Let me know what you think of the way this video turns out, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So going back to time lapse, doing some snow down here, and we're going to get this thing knocked out. If I can hit Okay, we've got our snow on here, and I want to talk just a little bit about this piece. This is a little vase that didn't have anything done. It was just a plain vase. And sometimes it's really nice to just throw these perfect little pieces. But after a while, you get kind of tired of just the perfect little piece. And I find that I'll come out here, and this will be sitting on the bench for a while, you know, a couple of days while I'm working on something else, and I'll keep looking at it and looking at it. And then I start thinking, you know, what if I did this? Sometimes I think, maybe I just start doing something to it. Some of my better pieces that I've modified just come out of nowhere. You just come out here and I'll look around what's on the shelf, whether it's a screwdriver handle, a trim tool, a chopstick, and I'll use those. I mean, just like I did this. This was just a straight little trim tool that I cut, and I just start making bands in it. I'm excited about this piece. I think it's going to turn out really cool. We're going to get some really neat runs. We're going to have some real shiny black. We're going to have shiny white, and then we're going to have this cosmic Teadust honey flux things going for us. But I would just encourage you to just poke things, just modify things. I forget at how many different things that I have made and sold, and I'll have somebody come back and say, you know, I bought that green bowl, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I had this really beautiful bowl that I did, and I did it in honeydew, and I love honeydew flux glaze. If you haven't tried honeydew flux glaze, it's just this beautiful jade. I'll grab a piece right here and show it to you. This is another one of those that I love this glaze. And you know, this was just a neat bowl, and then I started poking it. I started making little ridges in it. I started cutting it. And I don't know that I'll ever sell this bowl, because who wouldn't love to eat out of that bowl? Some of these pieces just make me happy. They'll sit on the shelf for a while, and I'll enjoy them maybe even for weeks or months before I even get to the point of being ready to sell them. Because I don't do this for the money. I do this for the fun. I do this for the enjoyment. And I hope that you guys are doing the same thing. But I would just encourage you to modify some of the things that you're doing. You know, maybe you're new to this, and throwing a good bowl is great. And I remember those days. But sometimes just cut something. Take a wire and, you know, put scallops in it. Do some different things. I'll show you. Here's a vase I've been working on. If I can get it up here without breaking it, because it's too wet. I don't really want to pick it up. But I'll show you back here. You see that big one in the back? That was just this perfectly round vase. And I came out here and I have these butter paddles that I bought on eBay. These old antique butter forming paddles. And I scarred it here. And then I put some dots in it. And then, if you can't see right there, but I did some more dots up here. And I just break it up. And then these glazes break so nicely on the texture. And I never know what it's going to turn out like. But that honeydew bowl, this lady loved so much. And what I had done was, at the bottom, I had actually gone and got my drill bits. And take a drill bit when it's just wet, and I would just turn it in there, and I made this really pretty double line of cut out circles and it broke. You can see how that breaks on glaze, and I love how this works. I mean, have fun. That's all I'm saying. It's about 70 degrees here. It is a false fall, and we're all just in love with the false fall that's going to disappoint us here in a little bit when it goes away. But, all right, so I'm going to take this. We've got our obsidian, we've got our white, and now we're going to put honey flux on here. And I'm going to try to load this up pretty good. And I'll not go to time lapse quite yet, but this is going to make this piece run. And if you haven't tried Cosmic Teadust over Honey Flux. Give it a shot. It's a real game changer. It does some neat things. Some of these glazes I have, I would never spend $1 on them. Where I get these weird glazes like Solar Rainbow and Cosmic Teadust, I take my wife to the clay shop with me. And she has this very different taste than I do. And we come home and I'm like, what am I ever going to do with that freaking glaze? And some of those are not cheap. You know, you get, I think Solar Rainbow's $30 or so. And it's like, what do you do with that? Solar Rainbow, you know, you can only glaze the inside or outside of a piece because of the way it off-gasses. And now I've got this jar, this $30 jar of something. It's like, I can't make food safe stuff with it because I can't do in and out. But I've got some pretty neat pieces because of her wanting to try some things that I would never try. And I guess that's why we work pretty well together, is we kind of offset each other. She had this desire, I'll tell you about this while I'm working. She started buying bulk tea bags. We drink a lot of, she drinks a lot of tea. I drink a lot of coffee and I drink some tea with her. But she started buying these bulk tea bags. You get Earl Grey or chai, and they come in a big bag, and they're round tea bags. I don't know if any of y'all have ever tried those, but they're really pretty good. And she was wanting something to put them in. Well, she wanted a tall cylindrical thing with a lid so she could just put them in there. And in my mind, I'm like, you got two different flavors. Why would you put them, you know? And she's like, well, I just put one flavor in a plastic bag and put it in there. And then the other flavor I leave loose. That way they don't blend and I know which one is where. Well, I made, and she's working on it. You'll see it come out of the kiln. I'm sure you will. I took a couple of cylinders, made lids for them, cut the sides off of them, and then put a flat piece in the middle, put them together, because I'm thinking, you know, let's put chai on one side and Earl on the other. And she really didn't want the piece. And she's like, you know, that's not really what I had in mind. And I'm like, that's cool, you know, I'll put it in the shop, somebody will buy it. Well, then after I got the new piece made for her, and it's in the house drying, and it's another lidded jar that I've been working on. This thing sat on the shelf out here for a little bit while we were getting ready to, I guess I just bisque fired it, so it was time to glaze it with something. But before I got to it, she came out and she said, let me take it. I'm gonna go in the house and see how it fits on the counter. And yeah, she's a little bit like me in some things. It just takes a while for her to come around. And she said, you know what, I really like that. I think I want it. And it's like, well, we have to barter over pieces all the time. I'm like, if you take that, you got to give me back this. And she's like, okay. So I got my lidded jar back that still hasn't been bisqued. It's in there drying. And she did take the little tea canister, and she's going to do some of her hand painting on it. There is a small one in there now that is just a single cylinder. And I guess my oldest granddaughter was here a week or two ago, and she saw it on the counter and just fell in love with it. And so when we get this other one done, she's going to pass that down to her, since she just got her first apartment, and we've given her a couple of things, and it's kind of hard for her to come over here and then not start saying, man, I really like that, you know, and hard to tell her no. I'd rather see her happy than make $30 on something. But anyway, it has been cool here in Arkansas. It is August 26th, I believe, when I'm doing this. Won't be when I post it. It'll be a little bit probably, because I'll have to get a kiln run. But she's in the house, the wife is, and she is doing some hand painting. I threw some mugs, experimented with some different shapes and sizes, and she found one she really liked and claimed. So I'm excited to see it come out of the kiln. It is going to be gorgeous. She's doing some real hand painting on it. We got our new copy of Pottery Illustrated yesterday. Not that it had any impact on the pieces, but it had some really neat illustrations in it and how people are doing things with wax resist. And she's using a Amaco black underglaze pencil to do some of this stuff with. And it's just fun. You know, she's getting a lot done, and she likes to sit in there. There's not room for both of us to sit at this table. And so she sits at the bar and does stuff in there. And right now, because it was so cool when I came out here, I don't have my air on, and it's starting to warm up, and I'm gonna have to fix that. So, all right, I'm gonna go to time lapse on this. I'm gonna dry it. I think I may put one more coat on it, and then we're gonna get over here to Cosmic Teadust, and I'll get off a time lapse when we get there. Okay, I just put one little bitty extra coat on there. I didn't think it needed too much. I'm afraid it's gonna, I know how Cosmic Teadust does with this Honey Flux. I've put it on mugs and it really runs. So it may completely cover up our white, and I really don't want it to do that. I would like to have some solid down here, but we'll see how it goes. I'm gonna start applying that. If you haven't used Cosmic Teadust, it's a very, very thin glaze. Straight out of the bottle, she's just pretty watery. So you gotta be careful with it. It will get away from you. A lot like sometimes seaweed, if you haven't used seaweed, seaweed can be really thin. And so you gotta kind of watch. Hoping you can see what I'm doing here. All I'm doing is applying this, and you see how thin it goes on? You can see right through it first couple of coats, but you'll have to watch it because it'll run. And I really want to keep it in this band and let all the movement come in the kiln. So I'm going to keep working on this. And I'm excited about getting this thing in the kiln. I've got so many pieces, and I've really tried some new glazes. And if they turn out, then I'll do a video on them. I've got a mug in here that I think is going to just be fantastic with some new combinations. And I love sharing stuff with you guys when I find something, guys, girls, ladies. I know I keep a little bit of an eye on my viewer base. I know many of you are my age, probably the majority. So we'll see how this goes. But yes, please forgive me. I don't mean to offend anybody when I say you guys. I am talking about my viewer base. And I'm just laying that in there. We'll try to get probably a couple of coats of this on here. Once it sets up on the first coat a little bit, it will go down a little easier when we dry it. But this is going to be fun. I ran my bisque kiln, emptied it yesterday, and you've seen some of my kilns. I just have these little, 8-sided shelves. They're not big, 20-inch kilns. And sometimes it's so hard to get stuff in there, everything in there that I want to get in there. So I actually just did a tumble load where you just don't even use shelves, you just pile it in there. I was able to get everything I wanted in there, and I just, you lay mugs down, you lay vases down, you just pile stuff on top of it, be real careful not to break it going in. And it came out really well. And I'll guarantee you I will use that method again in the future, because it worked for me. I've seen other potters do it. I see it online. Some people just fill the thing up, top to bottom, with greenware and biscuit that way. So, whatever. All right. Bear with me here. I'm going to do a real quick dry on this one. All right, there we go. She's dry. I'm going to put one more coat of this on here. If you can see that, it has almost, it looks like glitter in it. And it's really unique. The the bottle, this is a Potter's Choice. If you can see that, it shows it with glitter in it. I've never used it, I don't think, by itself. Maybe once or twice on a mug, and it just came out really kind of dark. But I've found that it does some really cool stuff with the honey flux. And so I've just decided that's how I'm going to use it. You get a lot of movement, you get a lot of color. And you get a lot of surprises, and they're good surprises. Sometimes things don't always turn out in the kiln the way you thought they would, but that's not always a bad thing. Even some of the pieces that I love the most in my house were mistakes in the beginning. And I don't just mean the glaze work. I've had things that I was throwing that just didn't turn out like I wanted, and I was about ready to put it in the bin, go back to the bag with it and start over. And my wife just happened to catch me, and she's like, no, don't you throw that away. Let it dry, fire it, and I'll take it. And she'll do the glaze on it. And we've got a big yellow vase in there that has finger marks in the bottom where I just dug real deep. And then it kind of got misshapen at the top. And I didn't see the beauty in it. She did. And she uses that every year. She fills that thing full of zinnias and sunflowers and stuff that we grow in the yard. And it's really neat. But it would not exist if it hadn't been for her snagging it. I tend to be the perfectionist, and she tends to be the more creative side of it, but I'm really working to get a little more towards what she's doing. That's why I say with these pieces, instead of just leaving them perfect, sometimes you just have to go change it up a bit. I had a large vase one time. It was, I say large. For me, it was large. It was 9-10 inches tall, big, wide. And I just took a serrated rib while it was spinning and scarred it and thumped it, when it was wet, and did all kinds of stuff to it just to distress it. And I thought it turned out pretty cool, and I put it in a shop, and I thought, I don't really care if it sells. It's probably one of the highest. I put it in there for like $65-70. It was gone in a week. A lot of the pieces that I distress and do things to so that they aren't perfect are liked more than others. I don't know if y'all have ever heard the story about the Starbucks logo. There we are. We have obsidian, C1. We have snow, down here white, C10. We have honey flux, which is a Potter's Choice 17. And then we have our cosmic Teadust here, which is Potter's Choice 63. But anyway, the story I've read about the Starbucks logo was when they first did it, people really didn't care for it. And the thing was, if you look at the lady that's on the logo, she was perfect. Everything was symmetrical. The eyes were the same, everything. And what they did was they went in and they changed it. They changed it to where she wasn't perfect. None of us are perfect, Everybody's a little bit off, whether we're talking physically or whatever. But you know, they modified the logo, the lady on it. They changed her eyes. They made her so she wasn't just symmetrically perfect, and made a couple of tweaks to her so that she was imperfect. And that's the logo they've had for decades now, and people like it because it's not just exact. And I'm learning that with pottery, that I love things that aren't exact. Sometimes I want them to be better than they are. I compare myself with other potters that I know, people that have been doing it for 30 years, and that's not fair to me because I'm never going to be able to do the kind of work that they've done since they've made a career out of it, and they've done it their whole lives. But I just need to do what I like, what makes me happy, and I love being creative and doing things like this upside down vase and just distress it. Now the problem is I'll stay awake at night trying to figure out what kind of glaze to put on the stupid thing, but that's part of the fun. So anyway, there we go. You've seen it. We put it together. When it comes out of the kiln, you'll see it with some other stuff. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day. Okay, if you've seen this video before, it's because I had some editing problems and it had duplicated itself, so it was twice as long as it needed to be. But if you're just now getting to the end of this, here is the vase that we did with obsidian and snow. We did honey flux right around here, and then we did our cosmic Teadust. And you can see we got right to the bottom here. That little lip kind of stopped it. But all of that was right in this area. So honey flux covered in cosmic Teadust is going to run. You can see how this thing just flat took off. And of course these little channels just kind of accentuated that. But we got some real neat color. Really pretty there. A lot of fun, did good with the black and white. Very similar to the piece that I saw, that I mentioned earlier in a restaurant bathroom. And I just took that piece and I tried to kind of recreate it, and it turned out pretty good here. I'm gonna show you a couple other pieces real quick that I talked about. This was the little tea canister with the lids. Has tea bags in it. I can smell it. Yeah, my eyes look rough. It is allergy season here. I am, ragweed is not my friend. So I look a little bit difficult at the moment, but see, we've got Earl on the top and chai on one side, and then they are sits on the counter. Easy to pick up and carry. Just handy little canister set there. This was another mug I wanted to share, and I'll do a video on this and try to keep it short with obsidian and 3 other Amaco glazes here. And it is a blend that I have heard called Northern Lights. And I thought that one turned out really well. And then the baking dish that I wasn't sure what I would do with, because it was speckled clay, I went with just a straight honey flux. And then on this rim, I did downpour because I wanted it to be darker blue, and I put 2 coats of textured turquoise on it because I know that kind of reacts and tends to run with the flux glaze. I love these handles. If you can see those, they're like that. Basically what I did was I threw a bottomless cylinder on the wheel, and then I cut it in half. I used the tools, you know, you can use your fingers, or you can use just the butt end of a tool or anything to make these little straps. And it makes these real neat ribbon handles. And then I poke some little holes, you know, in here that break, different ways to do it. But I'm real happy with that. I have a customer that comes by and picks up things once in a while, and she saw some of these that I had posted. I bake sourdough in these, and she was real interested in that. So I've got 2 or 3 of these coming out, different ones, and that's it. Thanks for watching. I appreciate everybody. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.